Well, we're here in the Greenbrier. We made it, Mace. We're here at West Virginia.
We made it. The Christmas depot is behind us here at the White Sulphur Springs train station. Yes, there's such a thing just across the street from the Greenbrier. The Broncos mostly made it to the station, but unfortunately, Cecil, one Bronco did not make it to the station healthy, and that's the big news today.
Yeah, we got a lump of coal in our stocking if we're talking Christmas here, because Alex Singleton, now on injured reserve, out for the year. This was not the news we wanted to hear after that big Tampa win.
No, it wasn't, and he played that entire Tampa Bay win. As it turned out, suffered the ACL early in the game on Brandon Jones's first quarter interception, and then that was it. He played the entire game. He said he felt some soreness after the game, reported it. Subsequent examinations revealed a torn ACL. And so now the Broncos have a big, fat hole in the heart of their defense and a big hole in terms of leadership.
Yes, a hole in terms of leadership, that captain and Alex Singleton. Of course, you're going to see this clip from Sean Payton. He calls him Nate.
No,
okay.
Well, I cut that part off.
Oh, you cut that part off?
Kind of saved
Sean
Payton from himself, just went right to Singleton. But yes, he did, when he referred to Singleton, call him Nate Singleton, not Alex Singleton.
Well, here's Coach talking about the injury to Alex Singleton.
Singleton is going to be put on injured reserve. He had an ACL in last week's game, midway through the game. One in which, though, he played 2/3 of the game with it was kind of remarkable. And then he reported he felt a little soreness. They looked at it. We looked at it some more, and then sure enough, he'll be scheduled for surgery probably about 2 weeks from now. Bidet will be moved up to the active roster, and then we made some practice squad additions.
So what's next? That's the obvious question here.
Right.
In the short term, you'd expect Christian Welch, who's been rotating in at inside linebacker through the first 3 games, you'd expect him to get some playing time. But looking over the horizon, you see 2 new names coming in, Quan Alexander, Zach Cunningham, both experienced on the practice squad. There's a background certainly for Sean Payton with Quan Alexander with the New Orleans Saints a few years back. His big thing, unfortunately, as talented as he's been over the course of his career, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's only had 2 seasons where he's played without an injury, and then last year he tore his Achilles. But the Broncos brought him in and had him on the roster this morning, which was the first sign that something was amiss.
A little tale. We're at the hotel room. It's bright and early. We're going to get that breakfast, and we wake up and go, the Broncos signed Quan Alexander.
Yeah.
And that was a sign. Also Cunningham, and we got to talk about Welch too. We don't talk about him much. We need to talk about him more. Macy's been playing good football, and Cunningham's a player that I appreciated. I think we saw him at the Shrine game years ago coming out of Vanderbilt. So it's like you've got some options now, but how do you replace Alex Singleton? Here's what Coach Payton had to say.
We've got, a handful of guys. We've got probably 2 or 3 different directions we'll go, and then we'll just see how it goes.
Well, to be fair, Sean Payton doesn't say all that much there, certainly leaving things open. But in terms of just knowing the defense, how quickly you can get up to speed, it's hard to foresee Cunningham or Alexander being ready by Sunday. You've also got Justin Sternad there for depth, but you would imagine and you'd expect that you'll likely see much more of Christian Welch. And then, of course, now a huge onus on Cody Barton. Welch had been filling in some snaps for Barton, and now you're going to rely on Barton to play every down. And this is where it gets interesting. Cody Barton is not the run defender that Alex Singleton is. He can be a plus player in pass coverage. And I'll say Barton did, I think, play his best game of the season Sunday in Tampa. So he's trending in the right direction. But with Alex Singleton, even though you can say, he does make a lot of those tackles from behind, those prodigious tackle totals. And he makes them in chase mode, but there are a lot of times out there the last few years, Cease, where Alex Singleton has been the guy that kept a bad moment, especially up front from the defensive line, from becoming a lot worse.
Yeah, and we'll get into it as the week goes on from here in West Virginia, but now you're facing two running backs that are really hard to deal with, and Breece Hall, of course, your guy, Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
So how do they replace Alex Singleton? Pat Surtain talked about that at the podium today.
I feel like I got to step up my leadership role even more, losing a presence like that, just rallying behind the whole defense and, making sure we're on the same page, making sure the standard stays the same, making sure we execute the same way. And like I said, this game, losing Alex, it's going to be tough, but obviously we got guys stepping in that's going to be key, key components to our defense. And, we're looking for them to step in and make plays. So my job increases even more being the leader out there for the team, for sure.
It's the leadership thing that really is as much of an issue here as anything on the field in terms of actual football play. Alex Singleton, one of the Broncos team captains, on the defensive side, of course, along with Pat Surtain. More is going to be asked of Surtain. It was interesting that Sean Payton said that they weren't necessarily going to name a replacement captain.
One-for-one guy.
One-for-one.
Right.
And we've seen in the past on other Bronco teams that if a captain has gone down, they've named somebody else. Maybe that happens down the line. That doesn't appear to be imminent. That being said, it is an opportunity for some other players to kind of assert their voice a little bit. I think you'll probably see someone like Jonathan Cooper step up in that regard. PJ Locke in the secondary, Zach Allen up front. There is another, as Yoda said in The Return of the Jedi, but I'm not sure that the other plays inside linebacker, because this is another thing. Alex Singleton's your green dot. He's the one that's relaying the play calls. Now, to whom does that pass? I mean, you'd guess Cody Barton, but that may be something that we dive into here in the next couple of days.
I'll throw out one for you. Brandon Jones.
Okay.
If I think of who's going to help stuff the run, not just this week, but going forward, maybe it's that safety.
The green dot doesn't have to be a linebacker.
No,
It
it
usually is an inside linebacker or a middle linebacker if you're in a 4-3, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be anyone at any spot.
Yeah. And we'll see how that happens. Also, a way that you can help out the defense is the offense can do their job. Bo Nix talked about losing Alex Singleton from the podium. Here's what Bo had to say.
Well, that one's tough and, really tough. Alex is a great teammate. Alex is a great football player. He does a lot on the field for us. He's one of those guys that, when he's on the field, everybody feels a lot better. So, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to, definitely play big and play, important roles around him. And you can't replace a guy like Alex, but I think, you can rise up around him and help that loss out a little bit. But, definitely, pulling for him with his recovery. Hope he has a great, off season and get ready to go again. But huge loss for us, but we're going to continue to get better around him and make sure that, we got what it takes on defense, and then offensively, we all just got to, raise up our game and play better.
Leadership is a collective thing. Bo Nix is one of the captains on the offensive side. So is Quinn Miners. So is Courtland Sutton. What is interesting when you look at this collection of captains, start with Bo being a rookie, Quinn Miners, who after the Pittsburgh game spoke sort of about the burden of leadership and how he was trying to navigate that. It's not the easiest thing, and it's not necessarily something we can sit here and be able to quantify with numbers in terms of what you're losing with Alex Singleton. You can talk about the tackle totals, but I don't think that really tells the tale of what the Broncos lost this week.
Well, I'm going to talk about something, energy. We're in that locker room all the time. I mean, Alex Singleton is the energy. He's the guy getting guys going on the field and off the field. So you're losing a little bit of that, I don't want to say fun. It's not like he's in the locker room clowning around, but he's definitely bringing that energy and, making sure guys stay on task.
Yeah, the pure energy. So, again, Where does that come from? That's why I look at a guy personality-wise like Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
As somebody.
He's a dog.
He's off to a really good start on the field. Not that he didn't already have plenty of respect in the locker room, he does, but I think he's sort of the obvious one that you say, okay, who's going to be there, getting everybody amped up in the huddle before play, before possession, even pregame. That's the guy that I think of first and foremost.
Yeah, it's going to look different out there for the Denver Broncos. Alex Singleton on season-ending injury reserve.
Yeah.
They've got options, but one thing of note, Mace, they're not staying as healthy as they did last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sean Payton back this summer had that quote during training camp about, being the least injured team in the league. You don't tease the football gods. You can say this about the baseball gods, whatever.
Yes, right.
The gods of sports do not like to be mocked. In anything, really. When I was taking an Uber to the airport
maybe Sean
last
Payton
week,
needs to back it up
Yeah.
since they got the backup buzzer there.
Yeah, when I was taking an Uber to the airport, my driver's like, "Oh, we're making great time," and I'm like, "Don't say that! Don't say it." And lo and behold, what happens? Not even 30 seconds later, on 225, we run smack into a traffic jam. Okay, yeah, some things you just don't say.
Right. Come on, Sean.
Yeah, he talked about the lack of injuries last year, and look, there's no doubt the Broncos appear to have a better process, but just because you have a better process doesn't mean that 2 years in a row you're going to be the least injured team in football. And now we're sitting here, we're talking about Baron Browning on the shelf, we're talking about Mike McGlinchey on the shelf. Now, Baron Browning, it's not a season-long injury. It's a short-term injury. That was something that was confirmed today. So that's some good news for the Broncos. Actually, it's funny that I say Baron Browning's name. Do you think about maybe asking him to go back inside when he returns from IR? Because, of course, that's a spot that he played as a rookie. Another guy that maybe you think about, you go back to when he comes off the physically unable to perform list, Drew Sanders. They tried him at inside linebacker early last year. They moved him to edge. Maybe you revisit that when he comes off of the PUP list, probably at some point around early November, based on the timing of recovering from that Achilles he suffered in April. So you're looking at about 6-month recuperation time.
I like the idea of Baron Browning playing ILB again, Mace, but does he like it? He's in a contract year, and you don't get paid on the inside like you do at the edge. But they do have the depth at edge. Dondrea Tillman, which you had a fine piece on denversports.com about, like we've seen the waves that they can keep bringing even without Baron Browning. So you consider it, and it's what's best for the team.
Yes. I doubt it. I'm just, you're tossing some possibilities out there because you may have to be creative. In the words of John Fox, no one's coming to save us. Now, could Quan Alexander, Zach Cunningham come to save you? Maybe. Quan Alexander, the big thing is he's got to stay healthy. And he's coming off an Achilles injury. I think the first thing for the Broncos is to ascertain just how much Alexander has left in the tank. It's in every story about him today. Pro Bowler. That Pro Bowl was back in 2017 with Tampa Bay. That was a long time ago.
It's been a minute. Yeah. Okay. Well, how much gas we got left in the tank for this show? We do have OBT2 coming up live tonight, 7 p.m. Mountain. Do not miss
thereabouts. Hopefully 7 p.m. Mountain.
Depend on dinner. We got to get dinner.
That's dinner's important.
We've got a lot of work to do,
Sustenance
and then we've got dinner.
Although we had that box lunch at the Greenbrier that. How much trouble did you have opening that box today?
I had to rip it open.
I did too.
Like a Christmas present.
Christmas at the Depot here.
Yes.
In White Sulphur Springs. Unfortunately, not a Merry Christmas, at least here on September. It's September 25th, isn't it, today?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, 3 months. Three months until Christmas. You can start your shopping here at the Depot in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia at the Greenbrier. That's Cecil Lammey. I'm Andrew Mason. Before we go, I need you to do the YouTube things like comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Gosh, it's so good when we're doing this in person together.